employee rates determined. We have two ways of doing that. The firstly, and probably the largest one, is that we have collective union agreements. So we have two unions operating in our business, trade unions. One of them is the EPMU and the other is Southern Local Government. You probably don't need to know which ones they are, but they, on an annual basis, come for a collective bargaining. So within those unions, there's probably about 200 of our 300 staff, and they come together and collectively negotiate as one. So we determine their rates based on sort of what the market data is saying for equivalent type of jobs. And the other one is that we have a whole heap of guys on what they call individual employment agreements, and we have an individual negotiation with each and every one of them to determine what their appropriate pay rate is. And like I say, most of those, whether it be the collective or the individual, we try and match the rates against what the market is paying for that type of service. So if you're an electrician, for example, and the market sort of pays $25 an hour on average, that's our starting point, and then we assess whether that person's sort of operating above the average or below the average, and we sort of assess their market rate around that. Second question was, is there opportunity for employees to earn extra pay, and how? Absolutely. Each and every one of our employees, who's particularly those that work on an hourly rate, have the ability to earn overtime pay. So if they work more than the required 40 hours a week, every hour after that is paid at time and a half. So they get 1.5 times their pay. There are things like allowances that are paid for people that are willing to work away from home. So if we have a project, say, in Dunedin, and we send a crew down there, they get paid an extra $50 a day for the imposition of working away from home. And within the sort of the senior management group, which is sort of about the top 20 in the organisation, we have a thing called variable pay. And variable pay is basically the ability to earn a bonus if we meet certain targets. And those targets are around things like reducing our health and safety incidents, or making a certain amount of profit, or making customers particularly happy, things like that. So there's a whole criteria around that, but the average sort of senior manager can earn an extra $5 grand a year, what we call variable pay. The third question was, are employees recognised for going above and beyond the expectations? Yes, they are, but it's fair to say that Connetics isn't very good at it. I'll be first to admit that. It's one of the areas where we get a lot of feedback from our staff to say that we don't reward and recognise the little things. When big things happen, we do go out of our way to actually to recognise that, and that often comes in the form of that recognition comes straight from me. That can be, and that recognition can be things like they get some time in lieu, like time off at another time, or they get vouchers for movies or coffees or anything like that. So we try to do it, we don't do it very well. A lot of the problem is that we don't always recognise good behaviour when we see it. The fourth question, what does the company do to encourage socialising between staff? A lot of that happens anyway because a lot of our work is done in teams. So we have teams operating, particularly in our bigger projects where you can have sort of 6 or 7 guys working on the same site. So they get to socialise each day in morning and afternoon teas. Problem is that then we have a large range of staff that work in isolation. So what we do is we do have a company social club where people are invited to join the social club, and with that they get to go on social functions. They have barbecues, picnic days, things like that, where not only the guys but their families are invited. We do have a quarterly company breakfast where I get all the 250 staff together, where we give them a good feed, and then gives me a chance to update them on what is going on in the company. And from time to time we turn the barbecue on a Friday afternoon when guys are coming into the yard after a hard week, and give them a sausage. We try not to give them alcohol during the week because we do have quite a strict drug and alcohol policy, because when you're working with electrical wires you don't want anybody under the influence of alcohol. So a lot of the time it's a barbecue sausage on a Friday afternoon, and it just gives the guys a chance to actually just come together and debrief after a pretty tough week. Does the company provide opportunity for staff to do training, and how do staff qualify for this? We have 3 types of training in our business. The first is called compliance training. And compliance is stuff that you have to do to work in our industry. So if you don't do this stuff, you can't get a license to work in the industry. And that's things like first aid. Every one of our operational staff has to go through first aid training. To hold an electrical license, you have to do that once a year. You have to do a refresher course once a year. So that's compliance. The second type of training is technical, and technical is basically about, there are things like a line mechanic who works on the power lines, and then there's a live line mechanic. A live line mechanic works on the wires without turning them off. You can imagine that requires quite a lot more training than the guys that do them de-energise. So it's just technical training is upskilling technical skills. And the third one is development training. And development training is things like where we want someone who's been working in a team, and we want them to learn how to be a leading hand or a supervisor. So it's not just about technical skills, but it's all the other skills required about HR side and things like that, and finances and stuff like that. So, and how they're determined really is like I say, compliance is mandatory. The technical is done by a skills gap, so we look at what skills we need, and we determine what people we need to go and what training. And the development one is a company level. We really just assess what we think we need, and we assess it at the company level. Does the company allow staff to swap roles within company? And the answer to that is at Connetics, not often. Because that's mainly because whilst we've got a lot of staff, we actually cover a huge range of different technical skills, and it's really difficult to swap because those technical skills don't automatically swap over very easily. Geographically, we're trying to encourage swapping roles within the company. So we've got this Palmerston North and Wellington operation, so we're trying to say, well, if there's a gap in the Wellington business, maybe one of our Christchurch staff would like to go up and do that. And we have one of our Christchurch staff up there now working in Palmerston North. He's been there since March last year and comes home at Christmas this year. So good experience for him because he's working at a level higher than what he would be in Christchurch. Are staff at all levels encouraged to share in the problem solving and decision making? I put a yes and no on that. Yes, they are when it comes to sort of general things about the welfare and the way things are done at Connetics. The no is that when there's things that we work within a highly legislative environment, so there's lots of laws that we have to operate in, so we can't really offer too much chance to discuss those because they're laws. We just have to stick with them. How they do raise issues is that we do have things like weekly team briefs where a team of say 20 will get together and they'll discuss what's going on in the business, health and safety, all that sort of stuff, so it gives them the chance to voice their opinion. Once again, it's probably an area where Connetics could improve. And the last question under my thing was, does the company allow employees to participate in the review of performance targets? Yes, absolutely, with regard to health and safety. Health and safety targets are shared on a monthly basis. We have a notice board at work where it sort of says what we're targeting and how we're going. Financial targets are less so, and that's mainly because financial information tends to be a bit sensitive, and we've got to be careful about how it's advertised because as long as if we could absolutely guarantee it stayed within Connetics, then we'd probably share it more freely. But that's because of the competitive market we work in, it's a little harder. And I think this year as a company we're focusing on improving or setting some new targets around productivity. And productivity is basically just how much work we get out of a crew or something like that, how many poles they can put in a day. We don't have very good targets on that, but guys are really motivated by achieving targets, and we've got to focus on making more so they can then try and strive to achieve it.